Okay, so to get into the straight seating, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips says that straight seating the CFP may be the right thing for us to consider. Commissioners have been discussing moving to that concept starting as soon as the 2025 playoff. The only thing I would say that this is a negotiation about, because straight seating probably makes more sense, is just the money aspect of it, because of the way that if you get that first round bye, even if you haven't won a game, you're already guaranteed more money. And so to go straight seeding, if the top 4 seeds are all SEC and Big Ten, then the ACC, like anybody who would have gotten that in last year's model, won't necessarily get that now unless they go and win that game. So that is, or make it to that game. So that's the concern. But I would think there might be some money compromise on that if they decide to go to straight seeding.
Everybody seems to be on board with this based on what I was reading earlier. It seems like it's probably going to get done and will occur as soon as this year. So
and Brandon Marcello follows up saying that they're all kind of on this. So they're agreeing to. I don't think they're quite there yet, but yeah, that's what they're going to do. So
yeah, so they're all in agreement on it, and that does seem the way that it will go, and that would obviously be an interesting change, but one I don't think I'm all that fiery about compared to the automatic qualifiers and kind of hoarding as much as you can without having even played a game, which is, the whole backlash against this is just basically rigging it before it starts and then say, well, but, technically all these past years, and again, then you have the example brought on by, Rhett Lashley about the SEC in basketball, so there are going to be years where maybe it fluctuates, but this way you have basically determined that there's like no way to really break through past you, because no matter what, you're going to have your block of 4, if not 5 and 6. And so that's going to remain controversial, as we talked about. But this one, seems to be pretty close to becoming a reality that the process will change next season and you won't have the first round bias for conference champs.
And look, if the 4 teams that are getting those 4 first round buys are all 12-1 and 11-1. I'm not going to, those are you lost 1 game. You should probably get a first round bye. You're, based on the schedule, I guess, necessarily, because even in these power conferences, you can roll through and wind up with a cupcake schedule. And I think we're going to see that more often than we realize, because you see it, the more it becomes mirroring of the NFL and, free agency and all that. You have teams that you think, every year in the NFL, like, man, this team's a lock. They're so good. They're so deep. Well, maybe they weren't quite as good as you thought they were, coming off of last year, and they caught lightning in a bottle. And then you have a team that's not that good. So, but we'll see. Okay, Garrett, I'm going to do the Nick Sabin thing here now.
For the past 4 years, we have trusted Jackery to keep us powered while on the road. The Explorer 5000 Plus provides 5,040 watt-hours of portable power, so we can move it around our house or even take it to a family member who's lost power. We've already had 3 power outages since moving, and our fridge and Wi-Fi are definitely the most essential for us. Pair it with the smart transfer switch to power your entire house off the Explorer 5000 Plus. We can't wait to take this little one camping, but for now, we're enjoying all the snuggles with peace of mind at home.
Because it fits a little bit better. But Nick Sabin was just on the Paul Feinbaum show. And when asked about President Trump's commission on college sports, first of all, I don't know a lot about the commission. Secondly, I'm not sure we really need a commission. I think that a lot of people know exactly what the issues are in college football and exactly what we need to do to fix them. I'm not opposed to players making money. I don't want anybody to think that. I just think that the system we are using, the way it's going right now, is not sustainable and probably not in the best interest of student athletes across the board or the game itself. So the guy who's going to potentially head up the commission doesn't think we really need it. And guess what? I think he's right.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was, political, obviously, influenced by just kind of having a show there of we're fixing this and look at this cool commission. And a lot of it was just for show as much as anything else. But that's an interesting comment. He's got some other quotes we can get to from that interview, but that one does just kind of make you go, what? Because that was such a big to-do last week. And then for him to say, like, I don't even know if we really need a commission. That's just kind of funny to say, because that just lets you know that this isn't some magic wand that's being put together and that will be waived by Nick Sabin and whoever else, Cody Campbell. They're not just going to come in and fix sports right away. I don't think they're even clear on what actually they're doing at this point based on that quote, or even feeling like what they're doing is all that necessary in the form that it's in or way it's presented. So, yeah, I don't know what all that means eventually, but that was funny to see him make that comment. Now, I know Greg Sankey also had a comment about it, apparently, as Fine always gets these meetings. And he said, I think what's important to remember is that it's a lot of sources say, I deal with reality. There's plenty of commentary about this possible commission. I'm not going to overreact or react to what's reported about commissions. I think there are a lot of wise people who can provide input, which, for as much as we may highlight some of the motives of Greg Sankey to, get 4 automatic qualifiers, whether that's the best interest of the game or not. I do think he's not just all wrong. I think he's a smart guy who does have interesting things to say. And I do think deep down, he ultimately wants what's best for the SEC first and foremost, because that's his job. But I do think there's an element of this man that does want college sports to be the best that it can be. Now, I think people get confused and like, well, that means it's the way that it was when I grew up. And it's like, no, that means the best it can be in the current day and age. And that's not always going to be what people want or like, or sometimes it's going to rub you the wrong way, but that's the way it has to be because we're in 2025. We're not in 1995 anymore. So there's no going back to the way that it was, but how can we make what it is the best that it can be? And I think in some ways he's trying to do that. I don't think he is with automatic qualifiers or Jim Phillips for that matter. But again, what does that actually maybe put on the table to try and get, what's that being thrown out to kind of get a reaction towards or set up for something else? Like with these guys, you see how this whole house of cards has been built up. But all the moves that these guys have made, and it's been very calculated. And these aren't just on a whim types of decisions. Like this has been very planned out. Their vision of college athletics in the future and their role in it. So what he says is interesting and usually smart to look into. So the commission comment is very interesting. And that part about not overreacting on the commission and wise people having input, I do agree with him. I don't think it's smart to overreact to just a couple names being announced to a thing that we don't even know what it's doing just yet. It's analyzing problems.
Or if it will do anything. So,
I'm not overreacting to that. And I do agree with him as well that there are a lot of people beyond just the 2 that we know of, Nick Sabin and Cody Campbell, that could be beneficial to this. And I think that could include athletes and should include athletes if this is going to be a legitimate commission, but we'll see where that actually goes.
But and look, I get the feeling that Nick Saban doesn't really, the president asks you to do something. You kind of have to go like, yeah, I guess, even if you're, and offer your input. But again, this could wind up going nowhere and more likely will go nowhere. To hear Greg Sankey be like, The other thing that you have to okay, so here's the thing. The media contracts are signed, with these giant companies who also do political business and lobby in Washington and all that. So let's say the Presidential Commission comes up with what Cody Campbell says is all the conferences make a TV deal together and then split it equally among the Power Four. Okay. So they have to do that. So that means that you have to codify into law something that will void those contracts and then have some sort of legal precedent that says, well, this is not fair competition, which has happened in the past, but it's been a very long time since it's been that. And the way that our government currently works of letting the big boys keep coming together and together and together and together, that would seem to have larger world implications for everything. And then that's why antitrust exemption, CBA, like all these things make more sense, but trying to go and tell Disney, Fox, CBS, Viacom, Paramount, whatever it is, and all these entities, Turner, Warner Brothers, that your deals are now null and void and we're going to redo them all. I also don't think that that's possible in America. I don't think it's possible in today's America. So if you're going to say you're going to split up the media deals and you're going to make all these rules, all that, well, how can you make the companies do that? I don't know. So